I have sent out several Dazzle Peter's stories on my
Oh, yes.
channel, and the many Japanese people are praying for her and her family. And so can
Yeah.
you tell us about Dazzle's current medical condition?
Yes. Um, I'm very close to Dazzle, so it's a bit hard. Uh, Dazzle was a very fit young woman, and the family is convinced that a vaccine called Gardasil created leukemia, and the leukemia was fixed with a bone marrow transplant. And Dr. Paul will help with this. He's the doctor. But the bone marrow, the DNA from the recipient, um, or from the donor, has it cured the leukemia, but then it started attacking her own body and creating scar tissue in her lungs, which was why she needed a lung transplant then, a double lung transplant. But she did not want to take the COVID vaccines. So they refused. They said, well, you can't be on the donor list. And in Australia, Dazzle is only the face of a lot of people who could not get on the transplant list because they didn't want to take the COVID vaccine. Lots, kidney transplants, you name it. And what's ironic is we had a celebrity over here who was an alcoholic, and
Hmm.
he stopped drinking just long enough to get a liver transplant. And then when he got a liver transplant, he went back to drinking. So it was not fair. It was just she wouldn't take the COVID vaccine. So unfortunately now her cancer has returned, or cancer has returned, and it's not looking good, and it's too late for the transplant now. So our prayers now are for the family, and we're trying to sort of let her let her and her family enjoy what time they have left with this little girl. But I
Mm.
feel as a society, this goes to our identity. This girl fought like crazy. And in Australia, we call that the underdog, the dog that is trying its best to win against all odds. And in Australia, we usually support those people and back them. We admire them. But now, in this current state, in this current community, um, they only support the compliant, those who do what they're told. If you challenge the state, well, then you become Dazzle.
Actually, I watched your program. The you talked about the Dazzle's experience, the near death,
Oh,
and
yes, yes,
she saw the something like God. The name
yes.
is uh
So we had she her father was not allowed in to see her because her father is unvaccinated. But she fell into, or they put her into an induced coma. And they told the family she won't survive. They keep telling her that all the time, but she keeps surviving. So they said she won't survive. So the father was allowed in to see her, and he didn't know what to do. And he'd actually got her name tattooed across his neck. And I think it was just out of desperation. He just didn't know what to do to save his daughter. Anyway, while she's in this coma and they're expecting her to die with while she's in it, she had a dream where she was walking for a long time in a place there where there was shooting stars coming down, and she said she was tired, but it wasn't cold and she wasn't hungry. And then she came across a bridge made of light, and there was people on the other side of the bridge. She could just make them out in the light. She couldn't see their faces, and they were telling her to cross the bridge. But then a man with long hair that she thinks was called Eli or Elohim or something.
Mm.
He
Mhm.
lay a hand on her shoulder and he said, I don't want you to go this way. I want you to go back. And then she woke up, stunned, everyone in the hospital. Oh my God, she's alive. And the first thing when they pulled out all the tubes, the first thing she asked her mother was, who is this man? Because she has no religious upbringing. So it's not like she's based or anything like that. And a lot of people in Australia really felt that God had sent Dazzle back like a test for us all. What are you going to do? You're going to let this little girl die that I've sent back to you? You know, she was up here so long, she could almost be gilded by the angels. You're going to let her die? That's who you are now as Australians. And unfortunately, well, fortunately in Australia, there was a lot of people doing a lot of stuff. Daisies for Dazzle, everybody was very angry and they were fighting and really trying to build awareness. And the doctor who had told her she couldn't have the vaccine, he quit. So that was a success for us. Her new doctor has been trying her best to get her on the transplant list. But now we are here, and it's once again back in the hands of God. And so prayers are more than welcome because now she is basically in the hands of God. I think if she dies, not for most Australians, a lot of people are ignorant, but for those who know her, something in all of us will die too. I really feel that this is who we are now. We stand by and we let little girls die. Even little girls have been sent back to us by God.
I promise I share that story with Japanese people who will still pray for her and her family.
Thank you.